this is my confession.
Today, we're looking back on this. So it's been a few months now since we released a documentary film called A Heart for the Nations. If you haven't seen it, in short, it's a documentary about the life of St. Patrick, or Patrick of Ireland, or just Patrick, whatever you want to call him. It's a documentary about him retelling his story, the historical side of things, but also it's a film with the aim of bringing an application on faith, on modern day faith, on maybe what we can learn from this guy and what this looks like in our society and all those kind of things. It was coming up to St. Patrick's Day and I was thinking about it and I started to read about Patrick and I realised, whoa, like my understanding of this guy was way off. And I thought it'd be an amazing idea to make a film. So I actually contacted Samuel, who you've seen in the documentary. I contacted Samuel because I knew he knew so much about this topic. I called him and I said, yo, I'm thinking about doing a video about St. Patrick. Long story short, I went into the phone call thinking I'm gonna make a YouTube video, and I came out of it with, we're making a documentary. Obviously at the time, and still right now, obviously my job as a filmmaker, a videographer, so I have my own clients, I'm busy on a regular basis on different projects, and at that period of time I was really busy with projects, there was a lot going on, and so as I said, the plan was to invest time in this, but it was really only going to be a hobby. And so anyway, we started to have conversations about, well, how could we turn this into, you know, from a hobby to a passion project that I can pour time into, that I can freely give time to, that could possibly be funded. Basically, all the questions that are asked when making a documentary. And that, yeah, the main question is, how can we fund this? How can we actually make a living out of doing this? And so had a conversation with Samuel, and really quickly we had 3 sponsors on board, which was Edengate, which is Samuel's business, Church of Ireland and New Wine Ireland, and collectively those guys sponsored the film. They made it happen and provided the resources, and we were able to get to work. But again, because I had so many projects on, and because actually I didn't even mention this, but we had decided to make this film about a month and a half before St. Patrick's Day, and St. Patrick's Day was a natural day to release it because there's a lot of hype about it. So it was on. We had to get going. So we penciled in 2 production days. And here's some footage of those days.
This is slightly heartbreaking.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it, right?
No. Okay.
Early morning drone shots over Saul Church.
Oh, they're freezing.
How'd you feel that went?
That went good.
Smooth.
Smooth.
Why?
They're doing that. They're playing for our footage pick. Yeah. Did have, I'm not gonna lie, multiple times during the St. Patrick's thing. We've stopped at O'Donnell's.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling on top form.
So effectively across those 2 production days, we did all the interviews that we needed, we got all the B-roll shots that we needed. It was just a real privilege to actually sit as a filmmaker, interview these guys and just hear their heart on this topic, and not only this topic, but to hear their heart for God and for this nation. So once all the production was done, it was time to get editing. So really the first thing that we did was we took a basic scale of a timeline, we dropped in the interviews, and we started to basically plan. We started to plan the flow of the documentary, and I feel like one thing that's key with documentaries is that it feels like one big long conversation. So, and that's why the research is important, because there's no point in going in and asking 5 people all the same question, because you're really only going to get the same question, same answer. Maybe a slight variation, but what you actually want to do is maybe ask a question and then think of a follow-on question from that question, so that when you edit it feels like a conversation. It feels like the next person's adding to what this person's already said. So we got to work editing, basically creating a very basic timeline and what that would look like and how it would flow. Friday morning I got up at like maybe 5:30, 6, started working right the way through. This was the final day of post-production, and I finished, I think we rendered it at about 11:30 that night. And then me and Matty in the studio, we watched it like 4 times and noted all the errors that he had changed. And oh yeah, also, and then I sent it to Samuel. He looked at it, he noticed a couple of things. and then we got it together, and boom, on St. Patrick's Day we released it. There's a few like massive takeaways as a filmmaker that I've taken from this. Number one, research is key. Research is so important, especially when you're trying to communicate a story. And the second thing that I definitely learned and realized from this whole experience is teamwork is literally dream work. We had a full team that was working on this. Basically, you're gonna get a better result, you're gonna get a more efficient result, you're gonna feel a lot less stressed, the final product's gonna be way better. And so, yeah, teamwork is literally dream work. And three, I felt challenged. I felt challenged and excited in many ways, because I feel like as a believer, as a Christian, we need to have a voice in this society. We need to be able to speak truth and life into this world, because when you think about it, we live in a world where social media is huge. Never in the world, never in the history of mankind have we ever had to deal with this influx of social media and this whole world of influencers, which is all great and amazing. But ultimately, as a believer, we need to have a voice. We need to be able to speak truth and life into that and offer hope to people, offer joy, offer peace, which only Jesus can give. And so I think it challenged me, because I've been trying to think recently, how creatively can I do this? So yes, sit down and talk to camera and whatever else, but what other ways can I do this? And so, yeah, thirdly, I was challenged, and if you're a believer, if you're a creative, I guess, what a time to step up, what a time to be a voice in this world through your art, through your media, through whatever you do. This project is not finished, not by a long stretch. Documentaries are a process, seriously, they are a process, they're a grind. There's a lot of hours behind the scenes doing stuff where, yeah, it's consuming, but it's brilliant. I love it, I just love it. So thank you everybody for listening again, and